Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is our last workshop of the week. We do have a representative from our Career Services Department that is going to be presenting today. Her name is Alex Deppen. Did I pronounce that right, Alex? So she's going to be taking care of the first half of the presentation. Then we'll have room for questions for her, and then I will continue with the second half of the presentation. So go ahead, Alex.
Okay, awesome. So thank you for that. Welcome everyone this morning. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the Focus 2 assessment. Hopefully you guys all had a chance to take it. If not, feel free to take it whenever. So we'll talk a little bit about those results. I'll talk a little bit about what we do in career services and a couple of things like that. So let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, who are we at the Action Center? My name is Alex Deppen, as we stated. I'm a career consultant. So I meet individually with students to talk about anything career related, and I'll talk a little bit about what we can meet with you about in a second. But basically, our purpose is to educate, develop, and assist students in successfully meeting the challenges of an ever-changing work world. So we know that the workforce is always changing, always, there's always something new happening, and we're trying to help you with kind of that transition. So we're located on the Denton campus in Woodcock Hall. We have our career consultant team as well as our employer relations team. So our career consultants, like me, meet individually with students, and then our employer relations team, they kind of help with the career fairs. Anytime there's an employer that's coming to campus, they're involved. So they're trying to get all the students in front of employers. So any kind of roundtable discussion or panel, they're going to be involved in that. So who we serve any enrolled TW student, graduate and undergraduate on the Denton, Dallas, and Houston campuses. Right now, we only have people on the Denton campus, but we're hoping to soon have people on the Dallas and Houston campuses as well. We also serve alumni for life. So even if you graduate and you're in 20 years and you're like, you know what, I think I want to do a career change, come back to us. Absolutely, we can chat with you about it. And then we do appointments in person if you're on the Denton campus, or we do video, phone, email, however, whatever works best for you, we are wanting to have you reach out. So, feel free to contact us. So what can we help you all with? So we do meetings for lots of different things, really anything on the career, in the career arena. Foremost, we do career advising and exploration. So we'll talk about that more today. But if you're trying to decide a major, or if you are trying to decide what kind of career you want to do with your particular major, we have lots of discussions like that. Probably our most common appointment type is resume and cover letter. So if you have a resume and you want us to help review it, or you have never made a resume before and you're like, hey, I don't even know how to do this, we'd absolutely make a resume kind of from scratch. We also help with graduate student resources. So if you are looking to go to graduate school and you need some help with kind of that, writing a personal statement or making a graduate student resume, something like that, we can absolutely help there. Interview prep, so mock interviews or just chatting about interviews. Job searching strategies, we help with that a lot. We're not a job placement, so we can't really get you into a job or get you in front of a recruiter, but we can absolutely help you with how to navigate the job search, what to search for, where to look, all that great stuff. Salary negotiation, we do a salary negotiation workshop once per semester usually. I know that can definitely be an awkward conversation to try and negotiate your salary when you've been offered a job, but we kind of help you and show you how to do that, some words and things to say. Networking and social media, we can absolutely help you make a LinkedIn account, all that kind of great stuff. We do professional development workshops. So if you're not ready to maybe meet in person, but you want to learn more about really any of these things, resume building, all that good stuff, we do a lot of workshops. Oftentimes they're virtual, so that's open to any student. You can sign up for those and we'll teach you a little bit more about that. And then of course our career fairs. So usually we have a career fair for all majors once per semester. So we definitely encourage students to attend that if they're on the Denton campus. We also utilize Handshake. So this is our Career Connections website, and that little button there that says TW Handshake, that's where you can access Handshake. That's how you make appointments with us, as well as search for on-campus jobs. So if that second page there, that's kind of what your home screen of Handshake will look like. The Career Center little tab on the side is where you can make appointments with us. And then that top jobs tab is where you can search for jobs both on and off campus. And then our Career Connections website has lots of additional resources as well. So that's where you found, some of you probably found the Focus 2 on our Career Connections website. We have a lot of other really great stuff as well. So that is a little bit about us. Feel free to ask any questions, concerns, but we'll go ahead and get started with a little bit more about the Focus 2. Okay, so Focus 2. So hopefully you all took it. So you know that it's an interactive self-guided career major education planning system. So what is it specifically? So it can help you with selecting a major based on your interests and your aspirations, discover your occupations matching your preferences, your attributions, your skills, your interests, your personality, map out future career plans, present and future, as well as making informed career decisions. So instead of just picking a major based off of, what your friend wants you to do or whatever, this is a really great way to know that you've really done your due diligence in picking a major and a career option. It can't make decisions for you. So it's not going to just tell you what you should do with your life. Gosh, I wish it was that easy, but no, it won't tell you exactly what to do. It'll give you lots of great options. It won't tell you what major to select. Again, it'll give you lots of different types of options to research and decide if that's really what's right for you. And then it won't give you the perfect job you should be applying for. Again, it'll give you lots of great options, but it won't say this is exactly what you should do, right? Okay, cool. So the first kind of aspect of the Focus 2, once you took the career interest assessment, you were given a 3-letter kind of code. And this code is based off of the Holland Code. So this was a system developed by an academic psychologist, Dr. Holland. So basically what he was trying to do was classify people according to their interests so they can be matched with an appropriate career. So it's kind of that matching system of career counseling. So he proposed that there are 6 different career categories that all careers can be classified in. So this is where those 3 letters for your score will have come into play. So RIASEC. So those are all the different kind of career categories. And then these 6 areas are used to describe people, their personalities, their interests based on a career. So let's get into that a little bit more. So if you had an I in your career score, that stands for investigative. So these are people who like to research, analyze. They're curious. They like to do scholarly and intellectual work. So some sample careers that an I may have gotten would be something like cellular biologist or archaeologist, economist, something that requires a lot of analyzing. If you had a high A in your score, that stands for artistic. So people who like unstructured things, creative solutions, being imaginative in their work. So sample careers like fashion designer, interior designer, all those really creative things. The S stands for social. So these are kind of those helping professions people. So people who like to help others, they're caring, generous, cooperative, that kind of thing. They like that in a workplace. So jobs like nursing, substance abuse counselor, different social worker, things like that. Enterprising, the E, if you had a high enterprising score, this is also quite social in nature, but it's a little bit different. There are people who like to manage, influence, lead, and motivate. So sample careers might be things like sheriff, lawyer, sales manager, things like that. The conventional, the C, or organizer, I don't love the word conventional, but people who like well-structured tasks. They like to work with data. They like to be precise. They like to be organized, things like that. So something like an archivist or a librarian, statistician. And then finally, realistic. Those are people who like to work with things. They also maybe like to work with their hands or like to work outdoors. Like to do work that's physical. So things like a civil engineer or a fish and game warden, a referee or sports official. So those are kind of the basic categories here, but you'll have noticed you got a score of 3 different codes. So we use those 3 letters to kind of combine different careers together according to all of these categories. So depending on what's highest or what's lowest, you might get something that looks a little bit different. So when you combine different examples I have here, when you combine like S, A, and I, social, artistic, and investigative. So an example for that might be a music therapist. So it has that social aspect of wanting to help people by doing that therapy, but it also has that artistic component of doing the music involved with the therapy. And then it has that investigative approach, probably that psychology, counseling background, wanting to observe behavior, wanting to make sure that they're being curious about behavior as well. So that's what happens when you kind of combine different scores to come up with your own kind of perfect match, so to speak. Again, it's not, telling you that's your ideal job, that's the only one you should do. But that's something that according to your interests and your skills, that might be a good option for you. To do another example, EIC was a detective or a criminal investigator. So that first E stands for enterprising. So as a detective, you probably need to be a little bit competitive. You need to have some influence over other people. You're working with people a lot. You need to be ambitious. That I, it's in the name, investigative, criminal investigator. You're investigating the evidence, you're investigating the crime, all of that. And then C, there's a lot of precision work and detail-oriented work that goes into being a criminal investigator. So also having those skills too would add to making that a good fit for you. And then I have some other examples as well. So that's basically where that kind of all comes into play here. So that's where those 3 letters are giving you kind of some good matches for you. The next next assessment you will have taken was the personality assessment. And then you will have noticed that you're given a 4-letter code. So these are different codes, even though they're both letter codes, but these are different codes standing for different things. So for this personality portion of the Focus 2, this is based off of the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, the MBTI. And this is a psychological assessment that's sorting people into categories based on how they perceive the world and make decisions. So it's kind of basing how you are suited for careers based on those personality types. So it's not just based off interests and skills, but now what's important to you in your personality and how might that match up with a particular career. So these different letters, you will have gotten a combination of 4, and you could have either one or the other. So your first letter would have either been an E or an I. That stands for either extrovert or introvert. So unlike some popular belief, that does not necessarily mean shy versus outgoing. An introvert can absolutely be outgoing and an extrovert can absolutely be shy. Basically what this means is how you allocate your energy. So an extrovert gets energy from being around other people. So they want to be with people. They want to, be always working with other people. An introvert maybe loses energy from other people. It doesn't mean they don't like to be with people, but when they're with people for a long period of time, they need to come back and be by themselves to kind of regenerate their energy. So when you're considering a job, you might consider, if you're an introvert, you might not want a job that you're going to be around other human beings all the time, right? You're going to need some time for yourself. The next one would be either an S or an N, standing for sensor or intuitive. So this is how you collect information. So sensors focus on facts, details, using the past to come up with solutions for the present. Intuitives focus on the big picture, seeing patterns, and doing more creative solution thinking. The next is how you make decisions. So it's either going to be a T or an F, thinkers versus feelers. It's kind of that like head versus heart. So thinkers make decisions using logical analysis, and then feelers tend to be sensitive, cooperative, make decisions based on how they feel, how others might feel, kind of that gut reaction. And then the next letter would be a J or P, judgers versus perceivers. So what behaviors others tend to see from you in the outer world. So a judger is someone who tends to be really organized, prepared, sticks to plans. And then perceivers are a lot more spontaneous, kind of go with the flow, a little bit more flexible. So that's how that would kind of go into that 4-letter code. This is actually based on, again, it's based on the Myers-Briggs, but there's also another free assessment that you can take that will give you this same 4-letter code, and it's called 16 Personalities. And it'll just give you a little bit more information about this code that you received. Hopefully it will be the same. Mine actually wasn't, but hopefully yours will be the same. So it's going to give you your combination, some top careers, some information, some famous people who maybe had your same career. And then it'll give you a little like name with it. So the ISFJ is called the protector. So I definitely recommend looking at that and checking that out just to give yourself a little bit more information about what type of personality you have and how that might fit into what type of career might work best for you. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the Focus 2, if that's okay with everyone. I'm going to pull up my dashboard. Hopefully I'm still logged in here. Okay, we can all see this? Well, yes, okay, good. Okay, so this is my screen, and this is how your screen's going to look as well. So these are all your self-assessments. I don't think I recommended that you take all of them, but you can absolutely go back and take all of them if you want to, just to get as much information as possible. This is kind of the career planning foundation. So this will tell you how involved you are in your career planning, your academic strengths, determining if you're career ready. And it'll give you tips and tricks if you're maybe not quite yet career ready. What can you do? You know, what kind of skills can you develop over the next 4 years to become career ready? What kind of strengths can you look to gain? All that kind of good stuff. So these are going to be your self-assessments. If you want to take them again, you absolutely can. You can go ahead and start over. If you come back in a couple of years and you're like, hey, I feel like maybe my results have changed, go ahead and try it again and see what you got. This is where you can combine your assessments to see kind of all of it. I'll go ahead and combine all of mine here. And then it'll show you how many occupations appear in your assessment. So 16 appeared in 4 of my assessments. So I can click this and see what those might be. Again, these are just options because obviously I'm not a biology professor, but those fit in terms of my interests, my personality type, I even did a leisure activity. So what kind of leisure activities I like to do. All that kind of good stuff. So it'll give lots of really great information about any supporting majors or programs we have at TWU. So how you can get there at TWU. Salary, this is kind of the basic median salary. So not necessarily the salary you'll start out with. What type of job family, different work values here, personality and skills. So this will give you a lot of really great information about all of these careers. So that's that first section here. If we scroll down, this is a really great site to explore some possibilities here. So lots of different kind of options we can do here. So what can I do with a major in offered at Texas Women's University? So these have all of our majors here, and it'll show you what you can do with them. Different job types within that particular career. This is something that's suggested based on my scores here. So these are suggested for me. But again, I would definitely recommend checking whatever sounds interesting to you. But these had some of the things matched for me. Go back to home here. This is going to kind of give that same information in terms of different kind of categories here. These are suggested majors based on my work interest. So these are all suggested for me, but they're going to be more than just what's at TWU. Okay. One I really want to show you is to compare two occupations side by side. This is a really cool feature. A lot of times, especially with some careers that seem similar, but you're not really sure like what the difference is. So like, for example, like psychology and social work. You're like, hey, I know they're similar, but like, what's the difference? What can I do with one versus the other? So you can click here. I'm going to find, I missed it already. I'm going to do psychology professor. Oh gosh. Ah. Yeah. This one. Oh, I did it wrong. Okay. Let me click on it. Okay, well, regardless, it's not letting me do it, but it'll let you compare side by side two different careers. So it'll do by like different tasks that you want to do, or different tasks that you would do within those jobs, different values, different skills, different, like if it requires different career or different majors, different like a master's degree versus a PhD, it'll give you all that really great information. So that would be able to compare two occupations side by side if you're kind of like, I'm leaning against these two, but which ones would I like to do best? This is another kind of career action planning. So creating that roadmap, you'll be able to enter in all that information about your education and your professional development journey. So whatever you're doing throughout your time at school, you can enter in all that really good stuff that you're doing. And so enter in your career objectives, your internships, your work experience, and just see where you're at in terms of career planning. So this is a really great way to just keep that all kind of in the same place. And then this section here is review and print my portfolio. So this is a spot that you'll want to definitely do and print out here. Build my portfolio. Okay, so this is my portfolio. So it'll give you your work interests, it'll give you your score here, talk a little bit about what that is, and then occupations matching that result. So here's more occupations that I can do some really good research on. If you scroll down here, it'll give you your values assessment, all those occupations that match that. Your personality assessment, occupations for that, skills, leisure, all of that. So that's a really great way to have all of your information in one spot so that you can come back to it, check it all out, see what works best for you. So there's a lot of really great, cool things you can do here, do a lot of different exploring here. And if you wanted to talk about this with one of us career consultants, we have the administrative access, so we can look at it together and see like, you know, what types of jobs might suit you best, what your scores were, how you feel about those. If you're like, I don't know what any of this means, can you help me figure this out? Like, absolutely, we can do research together and just kind of see where we're at in terms of that. So absolutely, you know, come meet with us about that. We'd love to talk with you. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to show you on this section here. Okay. Okay, and then a final kind of thing I wanted to leave you guys with, talking a little bit about OneT here. So this is another really great resource you can use to even further your career exploration. So this is, the website's called OneT. It's basically run by the government, so it's always being updated with new information about different careers. So information about salary, information about, you know, if this career has a bright outlook, all that really good stuff. So this little arrow here shows where you can search for occupations. So, you know, whatever occupation you wanted to search for, you can search in that little button. You can also search different ways. So if you wanted to search for information based on like your interests, your skills, your work values, we just discussed work values in Focus 2, all of this really good stuff. You can search for different careers based off of that. And then they'll also, if there's an assessment on here as well, this interest profiler, and that will give you that same 3-letter code. So you can search for more jobs on here based on your 3-letter code too. You can also find occupations based on, you know, career cluster, industry, you know, all of that stuff, any jobs that have bright outlook. So jobs that are growing, you can search by that as well. So this is just a really great kind of way to research even more. And we use this all the time in the Career Center. So if you wanted to kind of discuss this with us and kind of search through it, we can, you know, go through how to use it together and all that good stuff. So this is a really great site as well. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. My contact information is up here. If you wanted to reach out, had any questions that you don't want to discuss today, absolutely. Also, you can make an appointment with us on Handshake, and we're also on social media too. So if you wanted to follow us, all of our events are on there. You know, we have little just like tips and tricks on there as well. So feel free to follow us. And yeah, you know, ask us any questions. Okay, cool. I can go ahead and stop sharing if we want to look at any questions in the chat or anything.
Thank you, Alex. We don't have any questions so far, but if you do have a question for Alex, you can ask it now. You can drop it in the chat. You can take yourself off of mute, and we'll give you a few minutes to do that.
Oh, thank you for putting those links in the
We have a shy audience today. How many of you got a chance to complete the Focus 2?
Oh, somebody did.
So Lauren, was that Lauren? Let me see. Lauren, it was dropped, the flyer was dropped in the Google Classroom. We're going to drop it in again today. So for those of you who didn't get a chance to do that, you will have the directions on how to complete the Focus 2. So we have a question from Abigail, Alex. My Holland Code was ASI. Do you know what careers that might have that combination?
Sure. So actually, we can just go ahead and look back at my portfolio because mine is also ASI.
Interesting.
So let me go ahead and just pull this up. Mine's actually SIA. So a little bit different, but we have the same kind of code here. Let me go ahead and reshare here. If that's okay.
Yes.
Do it quick. Okay, so mine is SIA, but I'm pretty high in all of these. So basically, so you said ASI, so artistic, social, and then investigative. So working with jobs that allow for a little bit of creativity, working with people, and then working with kind of doing that observation, that analyzing. That's actually the exact one I talked about in the example, which was music therapy. So that allows for that creativity, that social aspect, as well as that observation analyzing. So some that matched my results here were a lot of these helping professions. So nursing, counseling, psychology, you know, that kind of makes sense for me. You know, social worker, all that kind of good stuff. Adding that A in there, making that a little bit higher, that would be adding to that artistic component. So, you know, anything that adds an artistic component here. So mental health counselor, art therapist, music therapist, you know, even like things like interior designer, that's going to have an artistic component, but also be working with people. So all of that really great stuff. Let's see what these additional ones are here. Oh, just that. So yeah, there's definitely a couple different options here that would go with all three of those. Those are, you know, pretty good ones there. So anything artistic, also social. And since you did take this test, you can always check out your work portfolio as well and check out those occupations that match your result.
And Abigail says, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Right, we will be sharing Alex's contact information. We've also dropped the contact information to reach out to our Career Connections department, but you can reach out to them and schedule your appointments, your meetings with them, and then just don't forget about them. They're a very valuable service. Thank you for joining us today, Alex. It has been a pleasure having you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Hopefully I get to speak with you guys all in the future. Okay, cool.
All right. Thanks, Alex.
Sure. Do you want me to head up?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
You're free. You're free to go.
All right. Have a good one.
All right, everyone. So the next part of our, do we have any follow-up questions? Everybody doing okay so far? So we're going to follow up with the next part of our presentation. So give me a second while I bring that on the screen. All right. I promise I'm here. Let me share the screen now. All right. The next part of our presentation is navigating the path to choosing a college major, a guide for college freshmen. Again, my name is Christine Torres. I am on the Houston campus. I support our students virtually. I've been with you throughout this week. We really hope that the rest of the information you find within this career portion is information that you'd be able to use this semester and moving forward. Let's get started. So today we're going to be talking about exploring majors. We're going to talk about degrees and majors, core curriculum, and then identifying what a parallel plan is. So everyone should by now have a declared major. We may even have some undecided students, and that is okay. Our goal for today is to help you, to give you the tools that are going to help you to make that decision as far as what your lifetime goal is going to be, as far as your career. Now, some of you might have heard this question: what do you want to be when you grow up? Right? This is probably what you heard about, the question that was asked to you when you were in high school. As you start this college journey, this question will look like this moving forward. What is your career goal? What do you want to do with your degree? And what are your plans after graduation? So this is the way this question will start to present itself as you start on your academic journey. So if you don't know what that is perfectly fine. At Texas Women's University, we have over 75 programs and 91 undergraduate and graduate degrees. All of our programs are broken down by college or department. We have our arts and science, we have our business, we have health sciences, we have our nursing program, professional education, and graduate school. So if you're majoring in teaching, it would fall under one of these areas. Nursing, so all of those areas fall within these colleges. So an undergraduate is a student who is working towards completing their bachelor's degree. And then a graduate student who is somebody who comes back to the university to complete the next degree. And we're going to talk about this. What I want to do is just show you, this is the link for our majors. So if you don't know, or if you want to change your major, if you want to look at all the possible majors that TWU offers, this is how you would navigate our website. You'd go to programs, majors, and degrees. You'd select the degree that you're looking for, the level of degree, and then the area of study. And then you'll be able to see what is available at TWU. So feel free to kind of go through here and search. Here are the business, the ones I've selected, accounting, and it gives us all the different variations of that. So take some time to look through that. If after you've completed your Focus 2, you want to look at other majors or other careers within your degree, you can definitely do that by looking through this website. So within your bachelor's degree, you are required to complete a core curriculum and then major specific courses or departmental requirements. You have to follow a degree plan within your degree. So I think a couple days ago at our financial aid workshop, one of the errors that some of the students were getting was that their class was not being covered because it was not on their degree plan. This is why it's important that you stick to a degree plan so that you're aware of what class requirements you need to complete that. And we're going to talk about that. Let's first look at our core curriculum. Your core curriculum is a part of the bachelor's degree that is required by all students pursuing a bachelor's degree. It does not matter what institution you're at. So for those of you who have done dual credit prior coming into TWU, you've worked on courses in your core curriculum. If you want to take summer classes, it's advised that you stick to your core curriculum and then transfer those back to Texas Women's. Your core curriculum is divided into these areas: communications, mathematics, life and physical sciences, language, philosophy and culture, creative arts, American history, government, political science, social and behavioral science, and then we have a component area, which is our institutional option. At our TWU website, we do have information on what the core curriculum is, and I want to take you there so you can see what these classes are within these areas. So this is the approved 23-24 core curriculum courses for Texas Women's University. I'm just going to look at the first one, communication. So when we looked at this slide, it said communication. It physically will list the courses that are required. So you cannot take any other course to expect to get credit under communication if it's not your Composition 1 or your Composition 2. These are the only courses that will fit in that area. If we look down at mathematics, you're required to take 3 hours in this course, but it gives you a list of courses to choose from. So you can take anything in this area, but you only need 3, okay? This is your core curriculum. You can also get to your core curriculum by looking inside of your Pioneer portal. If you look under your progress tab, it will reflect your core curriculum, and it's going to pull in everything that we just looked at, everything that's broken down with the core. It's going to specifically say these courses. So if you're registered for a course, it would tell you that you're meeting that requirement. Within the core curriculum, I pointed out that you needed 2 classes in your communications, 1 in your math. Here's the breakdown of how many classes are required within your core curriculum. So you should not be taking more classes within this area because it's not going to be applicable or it's not going to fit into your degree plan. Within your core curriculum, there are 14 classes. So that's what that totaled up to. Within your major specific courses and or your department requirements, there are 26 classes. Who can tell me how many classes are required in your bachelor's degree? Who wants to do some quick math? Anybody want to take a chance? 40 is correct. 40 hours are required within your 40 classes are required to complete your bachelor's degree. So this is the breakdown of the classes. But now what I'm doing is I'm showing you how many credit hours are required within your bachelor's degree. Core curriculum requires 42 semester credit hours. The major and specific courses is 78 semester credit hours. So your bachelor's degree will have a total of about 120 credit hours. This can vary based on if you're taking a class with the lab, so it can switch around, but you should graduate with at least 120 credit hours. Anything over that puts you at risk of not completing your degree on time because you're taking classes that aren't required within your degree. What we're going to do is we're going to look at what a semester credit hour means, because I did mention this, but I want you to see how the course numbering system works. And this is across any college or university that you go to. But this is specifically for right now, what we're going to talk about is Texas Women's University. We're going to look at the class ENGL 1301. This is that composition course, the composition 1, your first English course. The 1 in this number represents the course level. This is a freshman level course, a 1. A 2 would be a sophomore level course. So right now, everybody should be enrolled in freshman level courses, with the exception of maybe somebody who has prior college credit. The second number, the 3, this is the number of credits that you will get from taking this course. So this English course is worth 3 credits. So remember how I mentioned that some courses might have 4 credits? The second number would change to a 4. This also represents how many hours a week you will be in class. So for your English course, you will either meet 2 days a week or 1 day a week. If you meet 2 days a week, you'll meet about an hour and a half to total those 3 hours a week, or you'll meet one time for 3 hours. If you have a hybrid class, that is a course that is half online and half face-to-face, you still have the 3-hour requirement to meet per week for that class, okay? Sometimes that can get a little confusing. The last 2 numbers are the sequenced. This is English Composition 1, and this is the first class within composition course, so it is 01. If we go back to the core curriculum, we see what the credit hours look like. Well, let's break this down even further. So just go really quickly. Let's go back here. So now this is the same screen, but I've just put the credit hours that are required so that you can see that it is the same layout. Let's look at an example. We've been focusing in on this communication class, which is 6 credit hours in 2 classes. The English 1301, 3 credits. The English 1302, 3 credits. If you have a course that starts with a 3, a 4, 5, those are upper level courses. Once you have completed like English 1 and English 2, then you can go on to your literature courses. And then those start off with the 2 because they're sophomore level courses. So your sophomore and then all your upper level courses. So the 3s, 4s, and 5s, those are going to be the majority of the students that are working towards their master's degree. So bachelor's degrees are going to be 1s, start off with 1s and 2s. And then the 3s, 4s, and 5s are for those upper level courses. So with English 1301 and 1302, there is a restriction for students not to be able to register for 1302 without taking 1301. This restriction is called a prerequisite. So this means that you have to take one class before another. Likewise, within our math, within our biology, within a lot of our course systems, we have course prerequisites, which means you have to start off with the lower level before you can go into a higher level course. So if anybody tried registering for an English 1302, you're going to get a prerequisite error. It's not going to let you because you have not completed the first half. So that's what a course prerequisite means. Let's look at what a program prerequisite means. A program prerequisite Let's say, for instance, our nursing program. This is what we're going to use for our example today. In order to apply for our nursing program, you have course requirements. Those course requirements are anatomy and physiology 1 and 2 with a lab, microbiology with a lab, chemistry, developmental psychology, elementary statistics, and introduction to nutrition. As you can see here, the elementary statistics course, you can't go straight into there because it will have a prerequisite of a math. So you have to complete a math level before you get into this course. So I just want to pause so that we have some time to look at what a prerequisite is as it applies to a classroom and a prerequisite as it applies to a program. Do we have any questions? All right, let's keep going. And again, if you do have questions, drop them in the chat. Take yourself off of mute and we'll get those answered. At Texas Women's University, we talked about our bachelor's degree being 120 hours. We also have minors at Texas Women's University. So say, for instance, you are in our nursing program, but you also wanted to study a foreign language. You wanted to study business. You wanted to study something else. This is considered as a minor. Minors are usually 18 more credit hours than your bachelor's degree. So you would have to do the 120 plus the 18 to declare a minor. The minors are listed here, and let me send this link to everybody as well. Minors are listed here. So if you are considering taking up a minor with your program, so maybe you want to do accounting under a business finance major, so then you have a minor to go with that. You're able to do that, and you can look at our list of minors and certificates. If you're interested in pursuing a minor, here are our certificates, the different certificates that we offer. And this is in addition to the requirements for the bachelor's degree. Once you've completed your bachelor's degree, you might be interested in returning as a graduate student and pursuing your master's degree, which is 30 extra hours, or your doctorate degree, which can vary based on the requirements for that degree and that institution. So you'd have to look into that. But one of the things to realize is that what our previous speaker spoke about, Miss Alex, she talked about, you know, planning your degree path, looking at those majors, looking at what you want to do. It's good that you start considering this, because if you know you want to do a master's degree, if you know you want to do a doctorate degree, plan backwards, figure out what you need to do. Because if you do a minor, you want to make sure that your minor courses are transferable into your master's degree, which sometimes they're not always. So if you know you want to do a master's degree, then maybe you just don't pursue a minor and go straight onto your master's degree, because those 18 hours can go straight towards the degree requirement for the master's degree. So you have access to be able to look up these minors, these courses, and make that decision and start planning. So we looked at these questions. What is your career goals? What do you want to do with your degree? What are your plans after graduation? Your answers to these questions can change from today to tomorrow to next week till when your semester starts. At any point in your academic career, this might change. And it might change because you're influenced to more information, you've done more research, you're on your college journey now, and you're really understanding degree requirements, majors, minors, salaries. You're realizing that some of this stuff doesn't align with your interests, with what you thought these actual individuals do within that field. And that's okay. We want you to know that that's okay. 80% of students in college end up changing their major at least once. This is according to the National Center for Education Statistics. What we want to do is make sure that you have the tools that you need to make these decisions early, or to start planning with these decisions in mind, and to know that if you come in today as a pre-nursing major, as an education major, and you change your major, it's okay. We just want to make sure that you are focused in on taking the right courses that are going to get you where you ultimately need to go. This is why it's so important to focus in on your core curriculum. Your core curriculum is going to be the same whether you're going to do a degree in accounting, whether you're going to do a degree in teaching, in business, and education. The only thing that's going to change are those requirements by the department, what's specific to that department. Your first semester, you will be okay with the major that you're in. If you're going to make a total switch in your degree, you need to start planning for that now so that next semester, you're not taking a course that you probably don't need. Let's say, for instance, nursing. If you're going into nursing and you take college algebra this semester and you take elementary statistics next semester, you might not need elementary statistics if you move over to teaching or to psychology. So you want to make sure that you're looking at what these course requirements are and that you're doing it early. So why do you think somebody might change their degree? I mentioned a couple of reasons, but why would you think? You can go ahead and drop it in the chat. Why do you think somebody might change their degree, might change their major? Maybe some challenges with a particular subject because they chose one someone else wanted them to do instead of themselves. Abigail, I wasn't even going there, but you hit it right on point. A lot of times, I was thinking academic, but you're right. A lot of times we're here because, some students, we work with students all the time. So when I say we work with students all the time, and a student might be coming here because they have aspirations for their families and to meet their family's goals and not theirs. And you need to be happy in everything that you do. You really do. Good point, Abigail. And this is across the board, probably one of the reasons a lot of people do change their major. The major wasn't what they expected. Yes, correct. Do you know, as a nurse, you will have to change bedpans. You will have to change soiled sheets. So there are things that you're probably not going to want to do. I know I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't want to do that. That wouldn't be a career choice for me. And it would definitely be a reason for me to figure something else out. What about a NICU nurse? Shift work for sure. 12 hour shifts. And when you start off more than likely at the time they need you, which is probably working nights, working weekends, working at the hospitals that nobody wants to work at. So, and then also seeing firsthand what nurses and families go through to have a family member in the NICU. So there's an emotional side to that. So you also have to be prepared for that emotional side. Withdrawing from classes. You're welcome, Trinity. You're welcome. So withdrawing from classes. Let's say you start classes and you realize that, you know what? I'm not really digging this anatomy and physiology no more. What do I need to do? Well, you have up until Monday, September the 13th, before that date, to make any changes to your schedule. After that date, it's part of your record, and it's part of what financial aid has committed to pay towards your education, which means if you drop that course or do not pass that course, there will be implications that you would owe money to financial aid, you'd owe money to scholarships. So for students who are taking 16-week semester classes, that is considered a long fall semester, and the census date for that is dropping prior to this date of Monday, September the 13th. Anything after that is considered your permanent record. You have the opportunity to drop the course if you would like after that point, it just counts as a 6 drop. What does 6 drop mean? 6 drop means that undergraduate students, so it's a state law that was established for any student that starts college. So this is if you start college in any university in the state of Texas or college for the first time in the fall of 2007 or later, which this applies to you, that you're only allowed 6 unexcused drops during your undergraduate career. After that, there are penalties, there are fees. They charge you more to take a class. And there are other penalties that come along with that as far as financial aid and scholarships. So if you are withdrawing from a course, you should really, really save that for extenuating circumstances, right? And the steps for doing all of that are here. There are implications, but if you are not passing a class because you don't wake up early, you don't like the professor, you don't like your classmates, that's really not a reason to drop your course and to use your 6 drop. We encourage you to reach out to your advisors, your program coordinators, your academic coaches, anybody that you're working with on the college to talk about, hey, I'm struggling in this class, I don't get it. What do I need to do? Reaching out to your professors beforehand. If you do need to drop, then that's okay, but your drop should not be used just because you're ready to make that decision in that moment. It needs to be a decision that you think about because you only have 6 drops to use your whole academic career. Now, if you're in math class or in an English class and you're like, I am just too far behind, there's no way to catch up, and you've worked with the professor and you know that, that might be a reason to drop the course. But we want to be there to help you before you get to that point, okay? So we talked about 80% of students in college change your major at least once. So if you are considering reaching out to your advisor, your program advisor, you are able to reach them by visiting this website. Your first-year advisors are listed here. They're listed by major. You have all of their contact information, and then you're able to meet with them. So you can schedule meetings with them. You have their emails if you want to reach out to them, but all of our advisors are listed here and they are per program. And then our College of Business Advisors has a link down here. Reach out to them if you're considering that, and so that they can help you. To change your major means that you sign an official document within that department, or there's some type of agreement, and then it'll change in your Pioneer portal. And then financial aid will be aware of that as well. So then that'll go align with making sure that you're taking the right classes for the degree. I want to talk to you and introduce you to a parallel plan. A parallel plan is a way of making progress in 2 different majors of interest. I really enjoyed that feature that Alex talked about earlier, when you can combine 2 majors or multiple majors to see what is required within each one. I think that's going to be a very valuable feature for you to use, especially when it comes to parallel planning. So what you're doing is you're making progress in 2 different majors of interest. So if you know that you want to be a nurse and you want to also study kinesiology, then work those 2 degrees at the same time, so that you know, well, you know, if things don't go right with kinesiology, I can always fall back on nursing, or vice versa, so that you start going in line with what those course requirements are as you continue to take classes at TWU. You value both majors, so it doesn't mean that I like, you know, kinesiology less than nursing or nursing less than kinesiology. It means my career goal is to work with patients to help rehabilitate them. You can do that as a nurse, and you can do that as with the kinesiology field. So you value both majors. It reduces stress, and it keeps you on track for graduating. Okay, So I want you to remember that having a parallel plan is not a bad thing. It is actually something that we encourage. It's not an official document, so you can't say, where do I get a copy of my parallel plan? There's not an official document. This is a tool that you will keep in your private notes, in your private portfolio, in your academic records that you keep at home. It's knowing that you are going towards these two or multiple majors. So what's next? Next is you narrow down your degree selections. Figure out what you would like to major on in, what career fields you'd like to pursue, how those degrees align with what you are expecting, and then review those degree requirements. Look at prerequisites. Look to see if there is any additional requirements. For students who are practicing to be a counselor, you have to have hours outside of the classroom. You also have to have credentials that you need to pay for. You have to pay for testing to be able to practice in the state of Texas. You have to have so many hours of supervision. So these are degree requirements that are outside of your core curriculum and your class requirements. You need to know what these are. So if you say, you know, I have to finish my degree in 4 years or less, that might not be possible because you still have to do other requirements. So look at that. Compare the degree plans, meet with the career consultant, meet with your advisors, and meet with faculty. If you're considering switching majors to a different department, maybe attend some functions that they're putting on, maybe look at internships, experiential learning, talk with the faculty member and just get their point of view of what is it like to be in this field? What do you enjoy about it? What do you hate about it? What do you wish were different? Ask them those questions. Registration begins for freshmen November 21st. So if you're going to register for our spring 2024 semester, you need to have an idea of, is there going to be a parallel plan? Is there going to be a major change? So that you have those conversations prior to being able to register on November 21st. Okay. If you have any holes in your Pioneer portal, you also need to make sure that those are resolved prior to November 21st. So it does not restrict you from registering for classes. If you registered late this semester and you did not get to pick the classes, the instructors, the time and days, then you really want to make sure that you take care of planning what you're going to take next semester with your advisors, with your family, with your mentors. You want to do that early so that you are ready to go on November 21st. Okay. We are going to now spotlight a couple of areas. I have 3 areas that I want to spotlight for you. The first is our PASS program, also known as Pioneers Achieving Student Success. If you ever get contacted by this department, do not be afraid. They have good intentions of helping get you back on track. If you are reached out to by a PASS program person, this means that your academic standing, your GPA has gone down, and they're going to try to reach out to you to help you figure out maybe some more resources, some more assistance, having these conversations with what areas you might be struggling in and help you to get back up to good standing. Okay, so good standing, right now you should be aiming at least a 2.0, but you cannot fall below that 2.0 without having to go through a sequence of getting you back on track. You'll be placed on academic probation, and then here's some Q&As. What you don't want to do is get suspended from the institution because you're not meeting that GPA requirement. Okay, so if you get contacted by our PASS program individual, call them back. It's okay. They're there to help you. Was anybody enrolled in or participated in TRIO in their high schools or knows about TRIO? So our TRIO program is a program that is available for, here we go. We have 2 programs that are funded by the U.S. Department of Education dedicated to increasing the retention and graduation rates of low-income, first-generation, and/or students with a disability. So our TRIO support services We have 2 areas. This is what they offer to students within their program. Here's their contact information, and we have 2 areas. We have in our SS programs, we have our SSS STEM H, and then we have our classic. So STEM majors are going to be with our director, Keisha Jones, and then classic is anything that falls outside of STEM is going to be with our director, Elizabeth Durham. So they do a lot of interesting things. They have workshops for their students. They take them on travel trips. Here's a success story of one of our previous TRIO students. They are housed within our Pioneer Center for Student Excellence. So we encourage anybody who is interested in receiving services to reach out to them to apply. The next one that we have is our McNair's Scholars. So these are for students. So this program is funded by the U.S. Department of Education to increase PhDs among low-income, first-generation, and/or racially, ethnically underrepresented students in graduate programs. So after you've made some considerations and progress towards your bachelor's degree, and you know that you want to go on to continue your education, you might want to consider applying for our McNair's Scholars Program. It's another support system that we have at Texas Women's University to help you get to that goal. And this is who the program is named after. So it is Ronald E. McNair, and tells you a little bit more about his experience with NASA. So we've talked about these resources that I hope you consider applying to when you're ready, and if you feel that this is something that you want to consider. Before we wrap up today, just again, telling you about our workshops. We're going to be having these workshops. The registration flyer is in your Google Classroom. These workshops are going to be conducted through the fall semester. If you're not able to attend any of these workshops, still register. You'll get a copy of the recording and the PDF of the PowerPoint, but you won't get them until after the session has happened. So we're going to be talking about just starting navigating your way to a successful semester. We're going to be talking about learning styles September the 27th. And then on October the 18th, just recharging and getting ready to finish the rest of the semester strong. And then our final presentation is November the 8th, and we're talking about how to prep for finals. All right, do we have any questions? Any questions? Any thoughts? Anybody had some time to do some thinking? All right, so let's see. So I have a question. So I already know that I want to be a librarian, which means I'll need to get a master's in library science, but I'm currently minoring in graphic design. Should I continue with my minor or do something else? So what you ultimately decide, Abigail, is up to you. You have to look at what financial aid is going to cover. So they're going to cover, for financial aid will cover your bachelor's degree. Anything after that, they do not cover. There might be grants and things like that and scholarships that you can qualify for. So you have to figure out if financial assistance is an issue, then you want to make sure that they're covering your bachelor's degree. And then you're going to have to pay for those minor courses because it's going to take you over that hour requirement. So I would definitely look into that. And then time-wise, if you want to hurry up and get into your master's degree, then you might want to do a parallel plan to see, okay, well, what if I include graphic design here? Are there other ways to study graphic design? I can think of, and just in LinkedIn Learning, you might want to look up some information in there, or you might want to be able to say, you know what, I'm just going to stick to the graphic design because I know it's going to help me. It's an interest. It's something I want to do for now. So it's a decision you have to make. But what we're doing today is giving you the tools to say, let's do the parallel plan. Let's map out how many classes are going to be in my master's degree, and let me see if a minor is really worth me pursuing or delaying, because you can always come back and work on those classes. You can get a graphic degree. You can get a graphic design certificate at a community college. So you can also work on that. And it just really depends on what you want to do within graphic design. So if it's personal or if it's professional, if you want to actually have that credential to work. So there's some things you would need to consider, Abigail. Thank you for your question. Do we have any other questions? Could we start minoring in the second semester? Yes, you can start minoring now if you want to minor now. So some students might not have been able to register for all the courses within their degree, so they have to pick up a minor. So you can start a minor at any point. You just have to make sure it is declared. So you have to go to that link, meet with one of those program advisors and declare your major. So then that way it gets picked up. Okay, so you don't want to take classes without having that minor filed on your degree plan. Which advisor would I talk to about a parallel plan, graphic design, or English? So remember, a parallel plan is not an official document. Nobody is going to really know what that means. This is a term we're giving you so that you can do all the homework. So you can talk to both of these departments and say, I'm considering pursuing in these two majors. What could you tell me about this major? And then you go back home and you do the homework. So you're not going to have the parallel plan filed anywhere. It's just a good rule of thumb so that you know what you're looking at as far as taking courses and the degree plans you're going to be going on. Okay. Any other questions before we wrap up? You're welcome, Abigail. All right, well, thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you for your engagement within these our last workshop today, and especially for those of you who have been able to make it to the majority of our presentations. We're very thankful for having you and having met you. You have all of our contact information, so if you do need to reach out to any of us, you're more than welcome to do that. Before you leave today, we do want to make sure that you get a chance to do the survey. What we're going to be doing is when the videos are ready, we are going to send an overall summary and survey. And we'd really appreciate it if you can give us feedback on all of your sessions that you've attended. Okay. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming today.